It's time for the Brouhaha Sports Show. Brouhaha Sports with award-winning sports writer Dale McKee and co-host Marshall Wood. Talking sports with the legends of the game and famous sports personalities. Brouhaha. Now to Marshall and Dale with tonight's guest.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome aboard another edition of the Brouhaha. Dale McKee sitting over here looking at me, Marshall Wood, ready to talk a little sports.
Hey, man.
How you doing? How's my favorite sport model doing today?
Man,
Dale McKee, you're a sport model.
I'm telling you what, legend, I'm here at your beacon call.
I hope everything's going your way. You look like you're doing well.
Oh, I'm trying to. You know, you get old, you got to take care of this knee and that knee, and this tooth and that tooth.
Oh, how old are you, Dale?
That ear.
We've had this conversation. How old are you?
We're not talking about that.
I bet I'm older than you are.
Well, you look older. For sure.
I feel older, I'm sure. Hey, look, I was looking at your sideline view this week, and you just kind of focused on. I don't have a problem with John Cox, but I mean he was the center of the sideline view universe this weekend.
Yeah, he was. It was. I don't say it was a down week in sports. There's always sports going on. Don't get me wrong. There's just so many things out there, but you know, I just felt like that. I'd already done that for a magazine back in April,
yeah.
And so I thought I would pull it out and just let readers kind of know about Big John.
You know, did I understand it? And I should have known this because we interviewed him one time a year or two ago.
Yeah.
Did he go to Southern?
He did.
He came from Ohio down here and went to Southern, and he'd been here. I guess been here ever since.
Yeah. He said he got one of those Street and Smith basketball magazines back in the day, and he saw Southern was kind of down at guard, didn't have enough guards, so he wrote him a letter and asked him if he could walk on. They said, "Come on down." So he came on down, and he walked on the JV team. And after the first year, they said, "Hey, we think you'd be better suited at PR." So they let him do a little PR, and then he talked him into letting him do some radio on the campus radio station, baseball games. And so it's kind of how his career started, and he's still there.
Man, he's been there a long time. What's a long time? Yeah. I mean, I could, and he's you get a relationship with these guys. You may never meet them, of course. I've had through you a chance to talk to him on the phone, but when you listen to them year after year after year, I mean, they become a part of your life.
They do.
I mean, particularly when you're, some of them you just like what the Alabama's gone through with getting rid of the guy they had over.
I hated that for them.
Man, Eli Gold.
Oh, Eli had a voice of gold.
Man, they put him on a bus and said, "Get out of town, boy." Yeah.
Well, I guess they didn't want him to die in the booth. I don't know. What else? Well, I was gonna just you and I talking about some stuff this week that's gone on and this related to Mississippi.
Yeah.
Mississippi's all-time leading girls basketball scorer. Do you know her name?
No. I'm not. Let's talk a minute. Now we had Ruthie Bolton on here one time before,
yeah.
but she wasn't. She's not it.
No, she was an Olympic.
Okay, she played Olympics. What about there's a name that's familiar to Wayne County anyway. Bivens.
Yeah.
Is she a Bivens?
No.
I give up.
Close.
What have we got?
Victoria Vivens.
Vivens. Okay. I was wondering if she was going to be down there in battles or not.
She played at Mississippi State. Played in 2 Final Fours. She's playing in the NBA presently, and she's coming back to Mississippi State as a girls basketball coach.
She's playing. Who she play with?
I think it's Seattle.
Seattle.
I think so.
Okay.
Anyway, also the big news in professional baseball, not really related to Mississippi, but next door in Alabama, Willie Mays passed away.
Willie Mays.
Well,
say hey, Willie.
Say hey, Willie.
He was a guy I really looked up to when I was a kid.
Yeah, everybody want to be like Willie.
Man.
Willie could do everything.
Man, some of the catches he made, I think he had a weird way. Like, it seems like I remember him doing something.
Yeah, well, he just caught the ball.
It seemed like you could hit it too.
If you can run, and you can, you got a good arm, and you can catch, and you can hit, and then you can hit for power, you're called a five-tool player. Willie was probably the first true five-tool player in professional baseball. And of course, now we supposedly have one in Mississippi this year.
Oh, yeah.
Connor Griffin out of Jackson Prep. So we'll see.
He's a five.
That's what they're saying. They're saying he's 5'2". He may be the first high school baseball player taken in the major league draft next month.
How many 5'2" guys are there, you think, in the league right now?
There's a handful.
There's a handful.
No, I'm sure there's a lot that's been signed, but that doesn't mean you're gonna get there. But anyway, but you got to have the ingredients,
Yeah.
So anyway, all right. Some other stuff I'll run quickly about the Olympics. Sam Kendricks from Ole Miss, so it's gonna be on the Olympic team for the third time. He qualified for the pole vault for the Paris.
Third time.
Yes,
that's 21-year span, ain't it? No,
it's
a 4 year. So 3 times 4, that's only 12.
4, yeah.
Got my math. That's math.
Yeah.
Y'all heard my math right there.
Yeah. Now the track is going on in Portland for the qualifications for the Paris Olympics. What was interesting is there's a 16-year-old running last night, and he finished second in the 440. And he has qualified for the finals of the Portland, And if you get to Portland, then they'll take like the top 2 or something like that. And
16.
16 running against men twice his age.
That's crazy.
It is. Then our famous PGA golfer in Mississippi now, Allie Ewan from Fulton, Mississippi. She won her. She finished 5th, tied for 5th. And in the last month, every tournament she's been in, she's finished 5th or above. And she's pocketed. Hold on.
Come on with it.
Hold on to your wallet. She's $1.5 million.
That's this month.
In prize money the last month.
She's had a good month.
She has. And on the men's side, that Scotty Scheffler, great Christian young man, won a Masters here a few weeks ago. He won his 6th tournament, Travelers Championship. He won it in sudden death. The Celtics won the NBA title over the Magic, and the Celtics are now the all-time champion of the basketball world. They have 18 championships, and the Lakers only have 17.
That's a way to go, Celtics.
Anyway.
I've liked the Celtics. I remember coming up, John Havlicek and that bunch. I liked them.
And the last thing I have, yesterday, if you'd had $350, you could have went and bought you a ticket and watched the Chicago Sky play the Indiana Fever.
Yeah.
And Chicago has a girl from LSU named Angela Reese.
Mm-hmm.
She grabbed 25 points, 16 rebounds. And the Fever's Caitlin Clark, 17 points, 13 assists. But Angela came out on top by 1 point.
Yeah.
That's all I have for today.
I guess that is the Larry Bird versus Magic Johnson, the famous matchup of the NBA, and they're probably going to be looking at this one for years to come. I mean, Caitlin Clark is certainly making a larger impact than anybody in the history of WNBA, including Miss Reese. But I mean, you go there. A couple of things I'm looking at on Tuesday. This was last week. CBS announced it broadcast the Fever Sky game from the past weekend. This was last week. Had an average of 2.25 million viewers. That makes it the most watched WNBA game in 23 years. The money, I mean, that's coming in from the NBA. I mean, they're selling out 24,000 people watching some of these games. That's never happened. That's 2 and 3 times more than they've ever had watching games before.
Well, Atlanta plays in a 3,500 seat arena during the regular season.
Yeah.
Well, they had to rent the Hawks 17,500, sold it out this past Thursday in Atlanta when Caitlin came in.
There's a comedian named Bill Burr, and I don't know if you know who he is or not. But he had a little deal reel I saw on the internet a year or two ago. He was talking about the WNBA. He said, y'all worry. He said, you know why the WNBA is not any good? You don't sell any tickets. Nobody goes to your games. Well, guess what? They're going now. Listen, Dale, we get a little long on our first segment here. Who you got for us tonight as our guest? I think we got a repeat coming back to visit with us again.
We got our old buddy from the coast, coastal sports expert down there, Hunter Dawkins, and he's going to talk to us about football.
Well, we love football, so I'll tell you what let's do. Let's take a break here from a sponsor, and we'll be back to talk a little football with Hunter Dawkins right after this commercial break. See you in a minute.
Phillips Building Supply in Laurel, your hometown building supply store since 1954. We are locally owned and pride ourselves on helping our customers find exactly what they need. From foundations to roofs to doors and windows, Phillips has it. For tools, hardware, lumber, and plywood, visit Phillips Building Supply.
Welcome to the show, Hunter. Hunter, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Dale. Thank you very much. I certainly appreciate being with you guys. Anything I can do for you guys in the future, y'all let me know.
Hey, we appreciate you like always. All right, let's talk about football. We're going to start with a little college football. Why don't you tell us about what's your thoughts on what's happened at USM football lately?
Well, obviously, there's been some tragedy in the last week, at least, with the MJ Daniels. And one of the stories I'll share with you guys really quick that I have about MJ Daniels, that not as much as a lot of the local guys too, but one of the good quotes that I got from him after the last game last year, when I talked to him in front of the press conference, one of the team press conferences, he was there and discussed, and I said, well, MJ, you're a very big recruiter of your own people here, at least from one of the stories that I've heard. What can you do to bring Deuce Knight here? He said, sir, I'm already working on that. He's like, we're going to get it going, man. He's like, Deuce is going to be Golden Eagle, you know. And so, I of course, I appreciate the work that the MJ did in his life, and it was too short, but, maybe he'll be right. Maybe they can get Deuce pulled away from Notre Dame or Ole Miss, either one of those. So, but as far as the story from Golden Eagle football, it's really revolving around the new quarterback with Tate Rodemaker or Ethan Crawford, and really the key to their success is how they're going to do with replacing Frank. Frank Gore, obviously training with the Buffalo Bills right now in the NFL training camp, but Rodriguez Clark, who's played pretty well last year, he's coming too, and we want to see what happens with him. And defensively, they're looking pretty good again, at least during the training camp that I've been to, and we'll see what happens at least from that end.
I was wondering, Hunter, if you could get me. I get way out in the weeds and lose my way back in every once in a while. What about Bivens? The two Wayne County guys. Has Bivens got another year, or is he gone? But Cooley, Bivens is gone. Dale's telling me he's gone, but Cooley's back, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe that is correct, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I think he hurt his knee last year.
I knew you were talking a little bit about Bevins, but I don't know if he has any time left, and I'm not even really sure if he's on the training camp roster. He might be, but I haven't heard anything yet.
Okay.
I don't think he is. The one I've looked at, the rosters I've looked at, he's not been on there. Cooley's been on there, but Cooley's coming off of maybe an ACL injury, and I'm not even sure he's going to be fully 100% by the time the fall practice starts. So we'll just have to talk about those. But those were wonderful kids, and they were good guys, and so we're glad that they got the opportunity to play some college football for sure. Okay, you talk about that. Now, I know the receivers down at Southern are young, unproven. Is there anybody really shines for you out there at the receiver position?
Well, from the receiver position, you had a few, but it was tough last year because there wasn't really a way to show any flash time, or to be anywhere because the offensive line, of course, having to kind of resurface with the protection of what was Billy Wiles. This year will be Tate Roadmaker, which I think there's coming back really a good bit. The guy that's the tackle, Gabe, I can't remember how to say his last name, but it's a Spanish last name, Carranzo or Carranvaso. He's coming back, and he's certainly going to help reduce to where Roadmaker or Ethan Crawford, whichever one of those guys gets the tout, can be able to throw the ball down the field a little bit better, and then you'll see some more guys show out, at least from their opportunity.
Well, I do know that just looking at the roster, they've Mim's still on the team from last year, I believe, the little kid from Vicksburg.
Yeah.
And I know they lost a good.
Yep, that's right.
I know they lost a good offensive lineman to Ole Miss, but now the offensive line is still a work in progress. That's what I hear. Tight end position's pretty strong because they feel like they got like 3 or 4 on campus that can play, and they're trying to get that position back up a lot like it is, and the offense will be a little bit different.
Well, the most important thing too is that you don't have just singly Will Hall calling the plays. You have a new offensive coordinator coming in and really making, or I guess it'd be a little bit like his year and a half coming in, really, and calling the plays and putting together a program and getting to a style of play calling that is looking good for everybody. And I think that's what's more comfortable, those kids being involved in the spring and then really developing to the fall training camp and kind of being on the same page. That was the concerning part last year with Will Hall, calling the plays, and early started off calling the plays, and then kind of getting a little bit, under the radar after he had left calling the plays, and then there just wasn't really any consistency. That's the most important thing for Southern Miss, is getting some consistency, and I think Will would agree with that. The moment they have some consistency, then they'll start winning some ball games. And you saw that later on in the season and how they competed with teams like Mississippi State and Troy as well. And that is what they need to be able to move forward. And I think that's really the only way they can have success.
Well, now, switching gears to the defense just a little bit. Defensive line is really, really strong. A lot of depth there. Linebackers, they've got a couple transfers in there. I'm sure them losing Daniels in that secondary is big. But now, the last year they're probably
big. But Dylan Lawrence, though, who was his high school teammate, is one of the best and made a great bit of tackles last year towards the end of the season. Mm-hmm. And their secondary was strong. Obviously, MJ was the leader, but he had quite a bit of depth in that defensive backfield, and I think it's going to be good.
Okay. Well, listen, let's switch gears for just a minute.
And the last thing I'll tell you guys really quickly, I know you guys were wondering for a secret player, but I'll just mention this, Ty Mims, because he's more of an all-around, all-purpose player. I would really see him highlighting, and not just because he's preseason all Sun Belt, but because he's one of those guys that kind of reminds me of Alabama when they had Jameis, the kick returner who plays for the Cowboys or for the Lions now, who just went all off on Southern and on the rest of college football when he was playing. That guy really, Mims really reminds me of that guy, and that's going to be something to see in the fall.
Okay. Well, let's switch gears for a little bit. Tell us something about Mississippi high school coastal football. If you got any 5A teams we'd be interested in, your Van Cleves, your Gauchers, your East Centrals. But you just tell us the ones that
those teams
kind of cover.
Yeah, those teams, as you know, the 7A teams, it's kind of odd because there's always a little bit of battle among the coastal talent, your Gulfport, Biloxi, your trying to think of more.
Ocean Springs has been good the last couple of years.
Yeah, but the thing is with those, of course, those teams they've got to be able to compete at the state level, and they haven't been fortunate in that avenue. But I think you're going to get Gulfport and Ocean Springs coming out a little bit better this year, and maybe there's an opportunity to compete a little bit better. The farther down you drop, the more competitive it gets. For instance, 6A with Picayune, with George County, who's Deuce Knight senior year, he's trying to put something out there, something that people will remember. And obviously, he's got a huge that school has a huge measurement to move forward with the loss of one of their favorite sons, in MJ Daniels, but also and that's the higher you move up with Wayne County and all the rest of those. South 6A football has generally been pretty strong regardless. Then 5A, your Van Cleve, your Gaucher. Gaucher had a little off year last year, but they got better as the season went on, and I think they're going to start returning a little bit more. Then your 4A, you've got your Pass High, your I'm trying to think of some of the other ones that are Bay St. Louis, who finally made the playoffs again last year, but they're looking to get a little bit stronger. Poplarville is repeatedly doing everything they can. It's the strong level of football is in your 5 and 4A, and even in 3A down here with Stanislaus and St. Patrick's is getting a little bit better each year. They're just starting to find a little bit of a little belief in themselves, and I think that's going to be one to follow. And you'll see really the first couple games of the year is really when you understand what kind of team that's going to be this year.
Well, listen, Wayne County's always had a great rivalry. Of course, we're 5A now, but we were, Picayune was in there with us for all those years, and every year we always met them in the playoffs, it seemed. How are the Maroon Tide going to do this year?
Well, it's kind of odd because they've, Cody Steiger's a great football coach, at least for that age, and but of course they had that long Tom Dodd Lee, pretty much began coaching the program from recreational ball all the way up to high school, and they have a true system and a program. And I even though Cody coaches a little bit different style, I think he's trying to maintain that program history. And of course, Poplarville and PRC, all in the Pearl River County, are very solid programs, and they're all trying to fight it out to see who's the best one in that county. But they're all, different levels, different ball. And so I think, if I'm correct, Picayune 6A, PRC's 5A, and Poplarville 4A. So.
Now, Poplarville has been on a tear the past 4 or 5 years. They've won a lot of football games the last 4 or 5 years. We played them in a scrimmage a time or two, and they worked on us pretty good too.
Okay.
Absolutely.
What do you?
They've got a great program up there.
Well, have the Saints made any great additions here lately?
Well, I think the Spencer Rattler is one of him and Kool-Aid is a defensive back were really great pickups in the draft, and we'll see what happens with him. The Saints are one of those teams that you can predict that they're going to be this, that, or the other, but then they'll end up, they'll start off 0-5, which they could this year if they don't win the first game against Carolina Panthers at home. They could start off 0-5 because the strength of their schedule is very off base. But it's going to be kind of hard to follow them, at least through training camp, because as one of the only 2 of the 32 NFL football teams, there's only 2 that are not in their home state for training camp, the Saints and the Dallas Cowboys, and both of them are in California. And I know you guys, think that I'm pretty good knowledgeable about the Saints training camp usually, but I can promise you one thing. I am not headed up to Irvine, California.
Well, I don't blame you. I wouldn't go either. On that note, Hunter, time always flies when you're having fun, and we're out of time, brother. But I tell you what, as always, when you're on board, we have fun. We sure appreciate you.
Dale, Marshall, you guys are great. I appreciate you guys, and anything I can do for y'all in the future, you let me know.
We're gonna do that. You can count on us to call you back. Hold on just a minute. Dale and I are gonna take a break to hear from one of our sponsors. Be back with tonight's final segment right after this commercial break. See you in a minute.
Phillips Building Supply in Laurel, your hometown building supply store since 1954. We are locally owned and pride ourselves on helping our customers find exactly what they need. From foundations to roofs to doors and windows, Phillips has it. For tools, hardware, lumber, and plywood, visit Phillips Building Supply.
Welcome back, everybody. I'd like to give another shout out to Hunter. Appreciate him being with us. Dale? 2 segments down, 1 to go. We're in the final home stretch for tonight's edition, brother.
Yes, sir.
I saw this. We're talking a little football. I saw this article and printed it out today. How much did Ole Miss football spend on their 2024 non-conference schedule? You seen that?
I saw it, but I don't remember. Maybe let's see. Let me think. Okay, how many they got? 4?
4. Furman, Middle Tennessee State, Wake Forest, and Georgia Southern.
Yeah, let's see. $2 million.
That's pretty good. Total $3.7 million.
3.7.
To create their 24 non-conference. Let's see what it says here. The payout for every Ole Miss non-conference game. Furman. They're paying Furman $500,000 to come to Oxford. Middle Tennessee State, they're paying $1.6 million. All right. Georgia Southern, they're paying $1.6 million to come to Oxford.
So the minimum must be 500 and the top's 1.6.
Well, I don't know, but now Wake Forest is in that list, but they didn't. I guess they're going to Wake Forest, so it says then they do the travel, so they're not having to pay them to go up there.
I think they, one home and away game.
1.6 million. I can remember Southern one time had to give up a game, and they rescheduled. They did 2 away games with Nebraska.
They sold one in Nebraska.
They what now?
They sold one to them.
They sold one for like 2.7
it was
or something like that. It was a. They had to have some. What was the reason they had to have the money for that? Do you remember? They had to come up with some.
They needed it.
They need. Hey, maybe I can sell a game for about 2.7 million.
They needed it.
I ain't got no game though.
Well, Wayne County's tried that in the past.
Yeah.
I remember one time we called one of the Jackson schools, and they said no. We offered them a pretty good deal, and based on what we thought, we just thought that fans we'd have more fans than they would.
Yeah.
In the Jackson area, and they said no. And later on in the year, West Jones bought them a game from them.
And I wonder why. I wonder why they wouldn't buy one from us.
I don't know.
Maybe at that time they thought that West Jones would be easier to beat than us.
I don't know. I don't have any idea.
Wouldn't have been last year though.
And it was a Thursday night game.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. But I was told toward the end of football, if the football team's not doing well for that particular school at that time, then they will. Then they start getting ready for basketball. They need the money, so they start selling games.
Selling games.
So you got to schedule them late.
Oh, you got anything you like to sell today, Dale?
To sell?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, yes sir. I could sell a bunch of stuff. I don't know what I would sell first. I better not say it on the air. My wife might get me. I do have 2 dogs, but I don't know if she'll let me sell them.
Oh man, I better hold on to that dog.
She'd probably sell me for them.
Well, on that happy thought, Dale, it's always a pleasure to enjoy our time together each week. We want to thank Hunter for being with us again tonight. We want to thank you for listening. We want to remind you that you can follow us on Facebook at the Brouhaha and on our YouTube channel, where all the shows are cataloged for you to listen to on demand at our YouTube channel, the Brouhaha. But for now, it is time to say goodbye, Dale.
Goodbye, Dale.
Goodbye, folks, and we'll see you next week for more of the Brouhaha. Get us out of here, Jamie.
You've been listening to the Brouhaha with Dale McKee and Marshall Wood. Heard Tuesday evening, 6 p.m. on WABO. For more of the Brouhaha, follow us during the week on Facebook and WABO.